Discretion. See, I believe that this idea, or rather this practice of discretion, seems to be synonymous with the practice or tenet of silence. And I believe that this is extremely important because in order for us to live a fulfilling life, meaning a life where we create the outcomes, or rather, a life where we ourselves create what is meaningful to us, we must have discretion. This isn't to say that we should lie or that we should be dishonest in our relationships, but it simply means that we should know when and where to say things and when not to. You see, if you have a dream, you can picture it as a seed. And you see, as the seeds from a tree fall from its branches onto the ground, and then subsequently go into the soil, where they will undergo a process of fermentation, they are away from the light because they're underground. They are in the soil. They're in the dirt. And you see, you can view your goal or your dream as a seed, and it must stay in the darkness underground for a certain period of time so that it may undergo fermentation, so that when it decides to eventually sprout back up out of the soil into the sun, it is protected. And it has already grown a prodigious amount compared to where it started. You see, we must cultivate our goals and our ambitions in the basement. And we must implement a certain level of discretion so that people in the outside world cannot destroy or degrade our goal or our dream that we have set for ourselves. Because you see, not everybody is going to have the same vision as you. And if you tell them what your intentions are before you have achieved it, they can undermine what you have told them because they don't believe in themselves, and this could invoke a certain amount of ambivalence within yourself, within your own character, and you can begin to question yourself. So you see, it is extremely important to implement a certain level of discretion in your daily life, in your relationships, and so on. And in particular, in your personal relationships. Because you should be aware and cognizant of when you should engage and when you should not engage. And this isn't manipulative. This is merely self-protective. And you're also creating a certain amount of order. And as a man, a female is going to demand a certain amount of orderliness from you, a certain amount of consciousness, because she wants to be led. And if your time is available to her all the time and to everyone all the time, that means that you can be easily swayed, and she will not feel as if you can lead her adequately. So you must learn how to say no. And in order to learn how to say no, you must implement a certain amount of discretion into your disciplinary endeavors. You see, and I think the idea of discretion kind of is, like I said, synonymous with the notion silence, but it is also important for developing a certain amount of personal independence. And you see, if you learn how to be silent, and if you learn how to develop a certain level of discretion so that you can protect your goals, so that you may achieve them, then I believe that you will consequently become more attractive, meaning that you will start to attract more things into your life, not necessarily just more physically attractive, although you might become more physically attractive because, you see, the more you humble yourself and the more you see the world pragmatically and rationally for what it is, the more you will begin to structure your life and therefore probably develop healthy habits. And when you develop healthy habits in terms of eating and physical exercise, well, you become more attractive physically because you are healthier. And also, you will become more mentally attractive. And I think that this is the most important thing of it all. Because when you learn how to be silent, and when you learn how to become disciplined to a point to where you do not let everybody have access to what you are thinking, well, first off, you will create a certain amount of mystery. And you see, people want to chase after mysteries. People want to solve mysteries. And I'm not saying to do this just simply because you want to become more alluring, but I'm just telling you that if you implement these tenets into your life, you will subsequently become more physically attractive, in particular to the opposite sex. But in general, you will become more attractive in terms of being able to attract what you want into your life in terms of your goals, which I think is the most important part. But I'm just telling you that obviously there are also certain things that come with it. But to my point, personal independence. You will, by implementing a certain level of discretion and silence and patience and humbling yourself, you will begin to develop personal independence. And this is very attractive. And this is also very important, not only for your well-being, physically and mentally, but also for anybody else in your life who you are in a relationship with. Because if you are silent, you will be able to think and observe the situation in a way which can be described as pragmatic. So therefore, when you do eventually decide to engage, it will be well thought out, and you will already have a plan. And therefore, this will enhance your ability to be able to lead, which, in my personal opinion, is what you should be aiming for. As a man, you should want to become the best leader that you possibly can become. And I think that being silent, patient, and implementing a certain level of discretion into your disciplinary endeavors will, consequently, benefit you in the long run and with your progression towards what you might call your higher self. So therefore, implement discretion into your life. Learn how to become silent. Do not share too much. And learn when to share, when you should engage and when you should disengage. This is very important because this is going to allow you to see people for who they are. And you see, this will demand a certain level of respect because this is not a common idiosyncrasy of most people. You see, most people are not disciplined. They do not know how to be silent. And they don't have the faintest clue of what discretion really means. People want to overly share. And people will share with you the things that they intend to do way before they ever do it, and most likely they will never actually achieve it. You see, this is haughty. And this is what most people do. But this is why I say that you need to implement a certain level of discretion, because you could have a goal, but maybe you just have it now, but this isn't really what you want to do. So therefore, you should not tell people until you have done it. You should show them with your actions, not tell them your intentions. Because then, people might begin to judge you. And then this might stop you from actually going after what you thought you wanted. But if you never told anybody what you wanted, well, they didn't know. So if you decide not to do it, it just doesn't matter. You're probably not going to think about it again. And if you do, then you can chase it. But don't ever tell them, just do it. Take action and prove to them through your accomplishments. You do not need to tell people what you're planning to do. Just do it, and then they will see. Do not give them the opportunity to scrutinize you before you have manifested it into fruition. Just do it. Act. Take action now. And that's it. So, discretion, silence, patience, You see, these three things, these three tenets, is what we could call them, are extremely important. Because what they will give you is emotional maturity. And, obviously, you need a certain level of discipline to be able to have these things. So therefore, with this, and with this practice, you'll begin to be able to control your emotions, to control your anger, to control your actions. And most importantly, to control your words. Because you see, it is our words that we most regret saying. So therefore, remain silent. And if you have something to say, think about it first. You do not have to respond immediately. And this is extremely important in business, in your professional career, and in personal relationships. We do not need to speak immediately just because someone has asked us a question or said something to us in general. They might get mad at you in the short term for not answering them, and of course, eventually answer them. But this doesn't mean that you need to answer them immediately, because what you should do as a man is contemplate and figure out what the right thing is to say. And make sure that when you do eventually say something, that it's in alignment with your character. And you see, if you do this, well, the other person will have no other choice but to respect you. Even if they are mad at you, and if they are mad at your response and they don't necessarily agree with you, this does not matter. As long as your responses are always in alignment with your character, they will have no other choice but to respect you. Even if they do not like your response particularly. This will still command and demand respect, because your response was well thought out and it was in alignment with who you are. You stayed authentic to yourself. And you see, this is extremely important. And this is what these three tenets do for you, is allow you to figure out who you are, who your true authentic self is. And when you remain silent, scrupulous, and disciplined, when you respond and when you act, all of your actions and all of your responses will be in alignment with who you are, your character, and your authentic self. So this is extremely important. And you must learn how to do this, because not only is it going to benefit your personal relationships, it's also going to benefit yourself and your mental health. Because if you do not engage in pointless acts, in pointless arguments, if you remain silent and think, and make the active decision to not engage in something that's not going to benefit you and isn't advantageous for the long run, what you're doing is creating more mental peace for yourself. And not only more mental peace for yourself, but for your partner, or the person that you're in an interaction with, or in a relationship with. You see, they could be mad at you, but as long as you do not react, and you do not engage if you do not need to, then they will eventually calm down. And you will not have been mad at the fact that you remain silent. But if you engage irrationally, because you are intemperate and undisciplined, well, then you might eventually end up regretting your actions or the things that you said. And then you will have to go back and apologize to that person for the things that you have done. And they may not forgive you. And if they do, they might end up resenting you in the long run. But if you remain silent, you will be able to avoid that situation entirely. And that's all I wanted to say. I don't have much time today, but that was it. And I think this should wrap up what I was talking about in terms of the importance of personal independence, professional excellence, silence, patience, and now discretion. And you see, if you think about these 5 things, and you implement them into your life, I guarantee you it'll benefit you.